Woohoo!
Today is our final episode of Father, Daughter, Teeter Time. We've been doing this for a little over 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of work. But so I thought we would just spend today maybe giving you, I don't want to say it's advice, but, a few fun words for you before you really leave up to start your own life. So I think I have 6 pieces of advice. First piece of advice for you is say yes. What do you think I mean by that?
You only regret the choices you don't make. You only regret the things that you don't do. If you're given an opportunity to say yes to something, to do that thing, make that friend, go to that club, attend that party, whatever it is, say yes to it, because no matter what it is, it will be an experience that makes you full person.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that's, objectively what I'm talking about. I also think that you and I tend to be no people. Insofar as I think we're cynical. I think that when we see things or it's kind of do you know the kind of feeling I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
You.
No, but I mean, maybe, but you point then more of a no person than I am. Because, so for instance, like as a kid, I was always the yes person. You know what I mean? First one in the pool, first one up at the plate, whatever it was, right? But you, literally, any activity, anything, you're always I don't think so.
I think it's just how I learned on really, early on in my life that, hanging out with people wasn't always fun. And I mean that in a lot of ways. I mean that I've always been pretty an introvert, have a social battery where it's I've had one conversation with someone today, I'm out, I'm done with it. The activities I get invited to do aren't always would I really rather go on a hike than stay in my bedroom right now? The answer is always no. But then also I was bullied a lot. Whenever even someone asked me to hang out, it was not a positive experience for me. It always felt I didn't really fit in. I wasn't really the type of person that was normal to them. Even to an extent where I am now, I feel I don't quite fit in with people. I say no because I've learned that saying yes to it doesn't always have the greatest results.
And I think that's why it's important for us to remember to say yes as much as we can. Because I think that even when the results aren't optimal, that sometimes it's still better to have participated than to have not. Okay, so number 2, you have to excel at the game that is before you can change the game that is. What do you think I mean by that?
You have to learn the rules of the game before you can break up. When you're put in a system, even if it's a system that's not working out that well, or a system that seems unfair to you, or a system that you're not that good at, and you want to change it somehow, you need first to learn how it works, to learn how to get at the top of it, so that you can push down at it from there.
Yeah, I think that and I see this in a lot of college kids. Bitching is easy, but getting to a place of power is really hard. From my experience, bitching doesn't accomplish anything. You guys can sit there and complain and whine and say the system's not fair and not right and wrong this way or whatever way. And those conversations can be important, but they're not going to move the needle. And I think that's something that I struggled with in my life. So that's going to come up, there's going to be, and I think the hard part for someone like you and me, and it kind of goes to the say yes thing, right? Is that requires participating in an imperfect system. And I think another thing that I've talked about with you that's related to this is social institutions are as real as the laws of physics. And I always kind of felt because they're composed by people, and people's opinions and beliefs can change, they're highly mutable, right? We can change them. But that is not the case. Social systems and institutions are extremely static and real and physical. You know, they're in buildings, in other people's lives and beliefs, and you've got to prove yourself in those systems to get the kind of respect to say that, you know, I'm gonna break the rules. All right, piece of advice number 3. Don't spend your life waiting for your letter from Hogwarts. What do you think that means?
Make the opportunities you want instead of waiting for them to come to you. You can't just sit around and hope that the universe is gonna like give you that thing. If something doesn't exist already, you need to make it yourself.
Yeah, and I think this, you know, there's a couple of ways that this was definitely a part of my youth. I think that there was a part of me that was always waiting around for people to understand or discover my genius.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, right? Like I was like, you know, like they'll recognize someday, you know? Like no one cares. You're going to have to make yourself known. That goes against every instinct we have because I'm not someone who likes to really promote myself. But on the other hand, I think that you have to make yourself known somehow. I don't have a magic answer for that. You know, there's another aspect of this too, is there is no secret society in power. There's no one in charge. There's no one who has the answers and, you know, that is just going to give them to you and bring you into the fold at some point. And I guess the last thing I would say that's along those lines is, you know, obviously you're a young person, you've got a lot to learn, and you should soak up any kind of mentorship and opportunity that you have.
Yeah.
But someday you're going to have to be the mentor. I don't know if I've shared this story on this podcast before, but I remember it vividly. For me, I was 25 years old. I was sitting in front of my computer, probably starting some sort of business or something. And I remember just like leaning back and thinking, man, just kind of bemoaning the fact that I never felt like I had that mentor. And it's one of the only times it's ever happened in my life. There was almost an audio voice that went off in my head. You are the mentor. It was a tragic moment in my life. I didn't want to be in charge. I didn't want to be that. No. I wanted to, you know.
You want someone else to tell you.
I don't want to be that person. But all of a sudden I was just like, holy shit, dude. Well, so I think that brings me to number 4. Bring people with you. What do you think I mean by that?
When you're going places, bring people with you. When you're like getting to the top of the system, or you're breaking the system, or you're saying yes to things. Like don't like just be alone, or don't like try to be like the one like dictator of the world. Take people with you, and then like let each other like you can help each other out.
You know, I always had this kind of vision of like, you know, sitting in my room alone in front of my computer and writing the solution to the world. Do you know what I mean? Like dropping the manifesto. And that has never been a very successful approach for me. When rather I would just like was in a group and I helped us create together. What we could create together was so much greater than anything I could have created on my own. Other people will help you see your own bullshit so fast.
Like without even trying.
Not even trying. It's so easy to sit there by yourself and create this fantasy world. And literally any other person could look at it in 30 seconds and be like,
what are you talking?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
And you spend years, lifetimes, doing that. Right from the beginning. You'll immediately find out whether it's real or not.
Yeah.
Ready for number 5? Take off the mask.
You have this like version of yourself that you're trying to like project to the world. And it's exhausting. You think that like you can like go through your entire life is that way, just showing that part, and like everything will work out for you because that's the perfect part you're going to show, and like that's not how it works. If you want to make like real friends, and if you want to make real opportunities, like you need to be honest.
Why do you think you wear a mask sometimes?
I think it's because, well, like everyone just has this like really big fear that like people won't like you. And it's like I definitely have that. I mean, I talked before, like I've been bullied, and it's like people like aren't like the huge fans of me. So it's like you have this mask, and like you're showing it. Like it's almost like people like automatically build this mask of like their first rejection. They're like, okay, well, like some people aren't gonna like you. So in order to make people like you more, like you should show better parts of yourself. And then you can wear this mask literally your entire life, like never taking it off. And then you won't realize how much it's like holding you back. Because like once you like take off the mask, you'll realize like, hey, you know what? Like some people actually still do care. And like now I have like this automatic asshole detector for telling all the people that are like that would never really like me anyway. You know, it's so exhausting to just like keep this like facade going like 24/7. Just like it's so hard to constantly be like monitoring yourself and being like, was that like the right thing to say? Was that the normal thing to do? Like, am I still like staying within the boundaries I've set for myself? But if you could just like be yourself and then like encourage others to be themselves too, you can just like even build this like world for yourselves where you're just like feel so free in a way that like it's really hard to.
Well, and the last thing you said is key. What's it do for other people when you take your mask off?
They do it too. They're like, I didn't realize I was allowed to do that.
Someone's got to do it first, though, right?
Yeah. And then like you do have like the most like the weirdest like most different masks on in the beginning. You have like the most incompatible like expressions of yourself that you're being taken off, and you're like, we're exactly the same.
All right, number 6. Decide if you want to be an actor or a prophet.
I have no idea that.
Wild, right? What's an actor do?
They lie.
Well, and let me just say the way that I'm saying this in terms of actor and prophet. Neither one of them is derogatory. Well, honestly, on this, I'm literally like, this is, I think, 2 career choices. Yeah, weird. I know. So let me explain a little bit. Like, actors create, and this is like the difference between a fiction writer and a nonfiction writer. You know, like, I don't know, like a game developer versus a politician, maybe, right? Or I don't, like, you know, you can spend your life creating fantasies where people can hide from the reality that is. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like, we all love fantasy.
Everyone loves fantasy.
We love not being in this world, you know? And those who can create plausible and enjoyable and fun fantasies, beloved, right? Everybody loves actors, right? People love directors. People love fiction writers. And that serves like a real purpose. And it serves a real purpose. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So that's what I meant. This is not like the mask thing or anything else. Like that's a perfectly valid and quite honestly, man, a joyous choice to become someone who creates places for other people to step away from this world that is. What do prophets do? They tell the truth. And not only just any truth, but like bad one. The hard truths. Talk to me a little bit about it. Well, I think that when you're saying prophet, being like what we do at FTT. Like philosophy, right? Yeah. The gadfly is what philosophers always call them. They're like flies that, you know, bite you and kind of goad you into seeing the things that you're not looking to see. And then like that's really to a certain extent like politicians. I know like politicians lie, but it's like I don't know like the hypothetical good politician that probably exists out there somewhere, or something like like a lawyer, something like I mean like all these like things are like it's funny because like these are all like stereotypes like people who lie. Well, and I think you're beginning to to see the conundrum. What do you think is more? Who do you think has a more fun life, the actor or the prophet? The actor. Because it's like you're hanging out, having a good time. If you're writing about these like fantasy worlds, like even if you're not like an author, if you're like portraying fantasy worlds, you're creating like this world to live in outside of this world. Like, all of a sudden, like, the problems of this world are, like, completely irrelevant. You don't have to acknowledge them. You don't have to, like, work your way through them. You don't need to, like, tell the hard truths about them. You don't need to, like,
trying to figure out like the solutions to this problem. You just fuck off and like write about like this world that like has like different other problems and the ways to solve those problems, you know?
Right. And so how do people feel about the actor?
They feel really good.
They love him or her, right?
Yeah.
How do people feel about the prophet?
Oh, they hate them. They hate them. They hate them a lot.
Right? Like not an easy road. Does anyone want to hear about the real problems and real issues in this world?
It doesn't make me feel good.
You know, if this podcast were like all fun and games and pranks and whatever else, you know, like probably be a lot easier sell than, you know, philosophical conversations about the world.
Yeah, but to be fair, I'm not really sure if we could pull off fun pranks and games.
I'm sure I've never been. I don't know. You know, like so clearly at some point, whether it was electable or not, I chose the prophet route.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I do in this world. I'm a truth teller all through my entrepreneurial career. And if you want to build a business, be a prophet.
Yeah.
Literally almost every entrepreneur I ever mentored failed because they were creating a fantasy. That's fine. Listen, you want to create a fantasy world? Go full fantasy. Don't try to combine the two because you will absolutely fail trying to change this world if you're not living in this world. What do you think? Do you think that you have any tendencies in terms of actor or prophet?
Well, I mean, like, I'm definitely inclined to say actor, just based on like how like you know like I literally want to be a fiction writer, so it's like it's not exactly like a weird thing to me. But then like to some extent in my personal life, prophet a little bit. Like when I'm like talking to friends, they're like, I don't know, like they're like describing this like situation to me, and they're like, I don't know, like how can this like how can they be fixed? Like did I make like the wrong choice, the right person, like whatever. Like I'm just gonna like asking me like tell them that like they did the right thing. I'm just like, no, that was wrong. You did a terrible job. I'm like in the long run, they're gonna be way worse off if they just like spin these lies for them. If they do that, eventually they're gonna hit a wall where they can't like continue that fantasy anymore. It's like I don't want to be the person that set them on that path. I'm just trying to tell you how it is, you know.
Yeah, it's a tough line to walk. Well, Fay, we started at the beginning. Our first talks were about epistemology and how we as human beings learn anything or develop our beliefs.
Yeah.
And talked about existentialism, where we clear our beliefs in order to let new truths and new beliefs come in. We've covered so many fields, you know, politics and economics and sociology, psychology, phenomenology. Taken a lot of different lenses to the world and this experience. Talked about ethics, about how we should live, and how to create the good life. I think I've given you about everything I've got.
Well, they got us at it now then.
Yeah, but it's been these talks have really been one of the greatest privileges of my life. They really have. And I want to thank you for participating in this journey with me.
Well, thank you for like leading the way.
Yeah, I think we've made a good team, right? It's been fun doing this for the last couple of years. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
The end.